Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show. I hope you're all doing well. Smash me a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and get your comments. And then, of course, hit that notification bell. I'll be real with you. Big up to the Never a Foul crew if they are still here. We waited for that presser to end there. Big up to my Leeds United. Man, damn, I hope you're all well. Listen, the reason I'm so buoyant and bouncy, that presser was on the money. See, if you had a baseball bat, bang, he's hit it out of the park. He's just hit it for 6. Every single question that was put to him, boom, 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 boom. Genuinely buzzing with that presser. Of course, there's some little bits of bad news, but the way that he handled all the questions and gave me renewed optimism, renewed confidence going into the game at the weekend. Honestly, I can imagine. No. I thought the questions were bob on. I thought he answered them quality. You know, I've seen some of the reactions on Twitter and stuff. People that haven't actually watched the presser and listened to the words come out of his mouth, making snap judgments on the man. The manager, he's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. But he has my backing. He has my support until he doesn't have it, right? But we'll go through it and we'll speak about it and see what he has to say. Joe, what gave you renewed confidence? Honest question. Well, why wouldn't it be honest question? Why would you ask me a question that's this honest? Because the manager believes. The manager believes in his methods. Yeah, that manager believes in his methods. He knows that it'll come right. He explained to people reasons why players were picked. He criticised Brendan Aaronson that no one's picking up on because he only criticises players that he don't like, apparently. He spoke about the Harry Gray situation. I saw a take online as well. Do not compare. I'm sorry, folks. Don't compare Harry Gray to Rio Ngamoa and Max Dowman. Yeah, they're not one and the same. They're not one and the same. So for me, I thought it was a cracker. Now, of course, people, agree. High IQ answers from start to end. I love the depth in which he went down to. I love what he said. Listen, I'm not arrogant, but this is why I know what I'm doing with young players, right? That, again, made me go boom. Then when he spoke on the reasons why he picked Aaronson, which is something I'd said, to negate the threat of their left back, which he probably thought was going to be Robinson, that ended up being Sessegnon, but it all worked the same. He criticised players, but no one will want to pick out on them bits because it doesn't factor into the narrative that's being pushed, if you see what I'm saying. But we'll get into it, right? We'll go through each individual comment as we tend to like to do. And if you actually open ears and listen to what the man has to say and the reasoning behind things, it can educate you, right? That's why I like listening to managers. Some managers might come out and just say an absolute load of guff. He's my best player. He's this, he's that. This guy, when he speaks, I listen, right? When he speaks, I listen because I think he speaks really, really well. He puts me at ease with the decisions that he makes, with the selections and stuff that he speaks about. But let's get into it. You can see the news rolling along the bottom. Please do smash me a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, and of course hit that notification bell. Right, let's talk about it. So team moves, first of all, we do have a few doubts. James is a major doubt. He's still struggling after being hit in one of his core muscles. We saw that. I thought it looked like his ribs. Nonto is a doubt with calf problems. He also said Perry will miss this game, but we'll find out more on Lucas Perry later on. Nonto's missed a few sessions, will be a late call. Of course, we know the winging situation at Leeds United. We're already on the bare bones. We didn't do enough business there. We let Ramazani go, believing that we were getting Buonanotte. We panicked and tried to bring Harry Wilson in and couldn't get that over the line. That there is not the manager's fault. Of course, it's the manager's fault for letting Ramazani go, but he believed he was getting a replacement in Buonanotte. That's the reasoning. Do I wish Ramazani was here now? Yes. Is he ripping it up? I don't know. I think he's played 38 minutes in 2 games. But yeah, we could have done with him right now. Would he have started over Okafor and Aaronson? Probably not. As much as people would like to hear that, probably not. I think if Nonto was fit, he probably starts him. It makes me think Nonto having car problems. Maybe there was a niggle. James isn't at full fitness. But I think Aaronson will keep his place just based on that information, because you're not going to bring them in if they're not fully at it. And when he told us last week about Metra and Pirro being injured, we were like, oh, mate, they will make it. They didn't even, Metra didn't start. Pirro didn't even make the bench, did they? But they're back now. They're back. So the issues are James, Nonto, and Perry. We'll have to wait and see what happens. He was asked then about this goal scoring. The goal scoring. And we are worried. I'm worried. You're worried. Your family's worried. Everyone's worried, right? Everyone is worried, right? He said, look, we need to stay calm. First step is to be rock solid and difficult to beat, which we know we're going to be. We know we can't go lever for lever. We can't go punch for punch with teams in the Premier League. If you want us to do that, we'll get beat. Yeah, if you want us to do that, listen, I see takes saying, I'd rather us get beat 5-0 than draw or lose 1. Well, we had that before and people didn't like it, All I wanted from my Leeds United this season was to be competitive, and that's what we are doing. We will take this to the last game. We will take this to the dying embers of the Premier League season. We're not going to be dead and buried. Am I enjoying what I'm watching at the minute? No. If you're a neutral, are Leeds the team to watch? No. But we have a skin in the game, so of course our emotions are tied up into the team and the results, and we'll enjoy it more than most. But it's not amazing and enthralling to watch. Spoke on this many times. I spoke to Lockie about it. We need to get ideally more bodies in and around the attacking line when we do get them rare attacks. But first and foremost, like Farker said, we need to stay calm. He'll be calm. The team will be calm. The 49ers will be calm, regardless of what happens this weekend, by the way. But the first step is to be rock solid and difficult to beat. Ask yourself the question, Arsenal aside, which can happen to anybody. They've just won in the Champions League 2-0. They beat Forest. They're a very good side. They play City this weekend. Let's see what they do, right? Arsenal aside, have we been rock solid and difficult to beat? Yeah. Should we have 3 clean sheets? Yeah. Have we played 3 good sides? Yeah. Newcastle, Fulham, and Everton. We're not played scrubs. And I agree with what he said. We played well last time against Fulham. If Goodmanson's header doesn't go in, we're all buzzing we get a point on the road. Let's not play, reflection, like do some mad flex, because we would. Now, if that doesn't happen, everyone would be focusing on our clean sheets and 5 points and not speak much about offense. Now, I don't agree with him there. Because we'd still be saying, yeah, but we're not scoring goals. But it won't be as glaring. I get it. Because why wouldn't it be as glaring? Because we would have got what we would have perceived as a positive result, a point on the road against Fulham. But he said, just because of this heartbreaking situation, I won't judge it in a different way. And he cannot, because he's the manager, right? The manager starts to panic. The owners start to panic. The players start to panic. It's never going to go well, is it? That's why if you're a fan, you can't do this job. That's why if you're a fan, you shouldn't own your football club. Some do, but the emotions are too high, right? That's why we have debates, arguments, difference of opinions, and come strongly with them. But he is happy we are rock solid. I am happy and know we'll be competitive in every game. I've said any team, maybe not on the road, but any team at Elland Road, I'm happy to take on. And I think we can be rock solid against. He did say, look, in the first 75 minutes versus Fulham, we had the better chances, which we were the better side. What we have to improve is the cutting edge, the efficiency to score more goals. This is the only thing to criticise. But we had a similar topic at the beginning of last season, which we did. There was the game against Portsmouth, the draw against West Brom, the 3-0 battering by Borough. And let's be honest, the manager for 46 games, he couldn't catch a break anyway. There was some saying he wouldn't get us up. There was some saying he should be sacked in the summer. He's used to it now. He said we need to work on the clinical edge of the game. Definitely a major topic in the training ground to bring the players into scoring positions. We need balance. And this is where I agree with what everyone's saying. He's got with what he's got. He's got the cards that he's been dealt. He has to play his hand. And if that's working on the training pitch in different ways to make sure we can get more bodies in the final third when we do get them attacks, then I'm well on board with it. Yeah. And that's what they have to work on. This is what they have to work on. Next on, he moves to Wolves, and he says, look, we are always desperate to score and win games, but we also stay humble. We are a newly promoted side away from home. We're always going to be the underdog. And I know that people expect Leeds United to win. I wouldn't be so sure. I wouldn't be so sure because Wolves are an established Premier League squad. Started really poorly. Not great. But they stayed up comfortably last season. Their manager's been given a 3-year deal. I don't know whether or not that's wise, but they're probably sick of having to change the manager all the time because I think the players maybe are a bit of an issue there. It's a squad assembled with the super agent, etc., etc. We know how the story goes there. But Farker says we don't travel with fear. We travel there knowing they will be highly motivated. Wolves as well, like we're motivated as a fan base. People are saying this is it. This is a must win. I'm not sure I agree with must win, but I get it. I understand where people are at. But so will Wolves, right? Wolves will be looking at this as a perfect opportunity to get their season off to a start. They have scored goals. They lost 3-2 to Everton. I think they might have scored against City. Yeah. Played well away at Newcastle, which ain't easy. They lost that 1-0. So, as Farker says, we have to be at our very best and concentrated and show our defensive steel. No reason to panic. I think the manager will probably see it as, this is a positive result on the road. I know we want to win. So he was asked if it's a must win, and he said, I go into every game with 100% motivation to win. If we can't win, then the aim is to not lose. If we win, lose, or draw, nothing will be decided yet. It doesn't make our life easier. And he's right? It's only 5 games into the season. Of course, it would be amazing for morale, for the fan base, if we win this going into 2 tough home games against Bournemouth and Spurs. Of course, it'd be huge if we can put 7 points between us and Wolves and them still on 0 after 5 games. I get all that. But he is right in saying that nothing will be decided as of yet. He was then asked about Harry Gray and him scoring a hat-trick. And I've seen some takes online. I've seen someone mentioned Rio and Gamoa. Surely if they're getting games, Max Dowman, surely if we should... Come on. They're not one and the same. Harry Gray is exceptional. He's a very exciting talent. But he's not ready to be starting or coming off the bench for Leeds United as of yet. Because he scored a hat-trick in the under-23s. That's where we're at. So it is what it is. I've just had the chat turn off. Don't be abusing people in the chat. Don't be abusing people in the chat because you'll be removed. Yeah. Why not ready for off the bench? I'm not too sure if he's ready for that. And of the 3 attackers that we have, who does he replace? Do you, as a fan, Sam, and I respect your opinion, you always bring decent comments and give me pause for thought and do it in the right way. If you're the manager, who do you play more? As a fan, would you start Harry Gray away at the road at Molineux over Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Lucas Metcher, or Pirro? I don't think you would. As much as we'd like to see him get minutes, he's 16-year-old. He's 16-year-old. I do not want to see Harry Gray, because what you also could do is damage his confidence. Imagine Harry Gray coming on against Calvin Bassey and Joachim Andersen at the weekend. He's getting gobbled up. It's not the same. You wouldn't know, even over Pirro, you wouldn't. I know you might say I'm like sweeping comment. No. Because you would argue that you would rather Joseph over Harry Gray, right? Harry Gray, Joseph starting now, thingy. I mean, the comments and the reaction, he's not been great over in Spain, but he's miles off it. So the fact that that is a question, you know, the fact that we're comparing him with someone like the level of Max Dowman, someone like the level of Rio Ngamoa, it's not fair and adds pressure. Now, what Farker did say, and this is where, again, some will see this as negative. I see this as very positive in his reaction to this. And he said, I've said to you before, I won't speak on him again until he's played for Leeds United, like on the grass, right? And he said, believe me, I'm far from being arrogant or confident in this moment. But he said, first of all, when I got my job in the third tier of German football, I was dealt with dealing with youth. Remember that he was a sporting director first. Yeah, think of all the skin he's had in the game. That's why it's laughable when people make wild claims about his man management, etc. And we'll get onto that in a bit. My man's been around for a very long time. Player, sporting director, and manager. He then overtook, building a youth squad. His youth squad overtook Dortmund, the youth team in Germany at that time while he was there. Okay. He then came to Norwich and he said, I replaced our club captain, which was Russell Martin, which is why they didn't get on, with a 20-year-old centre-back, right? He mentioned the fact that he gave Archie Gray his debut and not his debut, but started him and replaced Luke Ayling, which everyone wanted him to do. Not myself, but everyone wanted him to do because Luke Ayling was washed and was League One. League One Luke, yeah, same as Liam. And he said that that's a struggle in the dressing room because someone like Luke Ayling, big presence. The captain at Norwich, big presence. He did that. He also gave Harry his debut at 16-year-olds in the Championship. He did that. So he's saying, if I was to select a manager to manage a young player, it is me. It's good to have arrogance. It's good to have confidence in your beliefs. He mentioned Mateo Joseph. I also gave Mateo Joseph his debut and started him in the Championship over Joel Pirro. He did that. And people forget that. But he said, to be honest, he needs game time with the under-21s and not lose his striker instincts. What he needs most is time and peace. He was asked then about Creswell's younger brother as well. And again, they're a long way off. They're a long way off. Just the fact that Harry Gray is involved with the squad and training with them, etc., then boom. So yeah, it's madness. That he's getting criticized, or that is yeah. It's mad. Again, Max Dowman, he is not. Rio Ngamoa, he is not. Find out about these lads. Watch them play and understand. There are footballers and football clubs outside of Leeds United. Max Dowman's been spoken about for a very long time, played in pre-season, absolutely cooked against Newcastle. Harry Gray played in pre-season, didn't really do much, I don't think. Rio Ngamoa was a player that, just one second, let me just work out where Liverpool got him from now, because there was a thing, was it? Yeah, he joined in the summer of 2024. He was at Chelsea's academy before that. So when you're getting academy products transferring from Chelsea to Liverpool, you know what level we're talking about here. You know, look, Lamine Yamal, etc. These are not of the same level. They're not. And it's unfair to expect Harry Gray to be coming in striker in the Premier League against the best defenders in world football and expect him to do something. Bringing on Max Dowman when you're 4-0 up against Leeds United is different. Rio Ngamoa was thrown on as a wild card against Newcastle. He scored. Rio and Gamoa played last night in the Champions League, came on in Atletico Madrid. They're not starting games. They're getting a few minutes. But also, let's not forget that they're levels above what we have. Levels above. The facts are our youth setup, by the way, is not great currently. Like we know that the game against Newcastle was our first time in nearly 2 decades where we haven't had an academy graduate in the match day squad. We haven't had a lot. Like Harry Gray, Archie, Creswell aside is what I'm talking about. If you think of all the players that were on the periphery, you had who's the centre-back that everyone was calling for last season that I think he's gone Scotland now, is it? There's just many players that haven't quite made the grade. Obviously, that will improve over time. I have no doubt. So yeah. It's mad. So we move anyway. Right, let's get into the rest of the comments. That's it on Harry Gray. He was then asked about believing in luck because he'd mentioned that in response to one of his earlier questions. He says, I'm a big believer that you'll always get what you deserve in the mid to long term. You will get reward for what you are willing to invest in life and in football. In other sports, normally the better team wins. In football, it can be the other way around. But in the long term, you get what you deserve. We've not done too much wrong, but there are things we can improve. And again, look, Fulham, the week before they play Leeds United, they play Chelsea. They get a VAR decision that doesn't go their way. They were better than Chelsea. I know they lose 2-0, but Josh King gets his first goal chalked off, his debut goal. The following week, a Leeds United defender bounces off his head and goes into the back of the net. You know? So I hear what he's saying. This is why we have XG as metrics. This is why we have other underlying numbers, because they show you that if we continue to do X, Y, Z, we will score goals. That's what Bielsa used to say about Bamford, right? Like the underlying numbers. That's why when you overperform an XG, people say, well, is this sustainable? And guess what? In the long run, it ends up not being sustainable because your luck isn't in. Now, 1 second. I've just had a knock at the door. Just bear with me 1 moment. Oh, geez, thank you very much. Thank you. It's just a parcel. Cool. I've just got I need my drain unblocking, and this is like some super duper shit apparently. That I thought they were bigger though. Yeah, apparently it like fizzes it up and that. I bought it online. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see if it works. I'm looking forward to watching it actually. As nerdy as that sounds. Right, okay. So let's get back into what was being said. Yes, 1 second. I will come round to your comments in just a second. Okay, so yeah, I believe in luck. Yeah, 100%. Harrison. He was then asked on Jack Harrison. Of course, Jack Harrison, as you know, I think he's a decent Premier League footballer. And he will have a part to play this season. I don't think he should be starting. That's fine. But he said if he continues to work hard, he can maybe get into the 11 one day. Jack is always in my mind for team selection. He did also speak on Aaronson at length as well, which we'll get into, because I think there's been a lot made of like the manager's comments after the game on James Harrison and Aaronson, and he spoke on this. He was actually quite critical of the players in the presser, but no one will pick up on that because it's not their favourites. Do you know what I mean? This is what I'm saying about For me, the manager's great at man management. I remember last season, people try to say he wasn't. Same people said Ampadu's not good enough at league and that. And then they want to try tell people that their football knowledge is not of the one. It's laughable at times, to be honest. But you do you, innit? You do you, brother. But yeah, we'll speak on what he said specifically on Jack Harrison. He said just because he scored for Everton, it doesn't give him an advantage for Leeds. He's a good player. I like him, working hard, which is why he's been on the pitch nearly every game. So I'm saying he shows and sees these people in training. If he continues with hard work, he's every chance to be in the starting lineup. He's always in my mind and always a good option, especially as in offensive positions. It's not like we've produced a lot for all the players. It is a chance to chip in and deliver. I think for me, late on in games, if DCL, if we need balls into the box, etc., he's great. He's great from the defensive end as well, which again, if we want to see a game out, if we get 1-0 up, for example, then he's perfect to come on. He's perfect to come on in them moments. So yeah, here we go. Let's move on. So on Aaronson, and he says, it's important not to be too much on the back of one player. With Brendan, we are a bit overcritical in public. And he's speaking to us. He came into the side with Willie and Dan James, but in 4 games, we've scored just a penalty. It's about competition, good players starting and good players on the bench. We have to deliver or others will get their chance. You have to deliver or someone else will come in your place. I didn't expect Brendan to cut Fulham apart on his own. Fulham had an aggressive left side and I wanted a player to support our right back, which is something I'd claimed before kickoff. Said, why is Aaronson starting? Well, this is why. This is why. When I heard him say that, I thought, no, my onions, me. But it was because Robinson had come off the bench in 2 of the last games, and we know that he's a massive part. And coincidentally, it turned out to be Sessegnon. But he did do that job. Alex Iwobi didn't get a kick. This is a player that normally will drift into midfield, allow Robinson or Sessegnon to get down that side. If you watch Iwobi against Chelsea, he was very good. Leeds United, he didn't get a sniff. That was due to Brendan. At half-time, no one had won more duels than Brendan Aaronson. So the selection and justification for the selection was warranted by the manager. That was something that worked. But people will only look at, he's scoring. Why did he score? So-and-so could have scored. But at the end of the day, Brendan created a chance, which is more than anyone else did. But anyway, like Farker said, I don't expect that from him in that game. I expected it because they had an aggressive left side. Probably start at the weekend when you think Hugo Bueno's starting for them. I don't know if they'll have 3 centre-backs and 2 wing-backs, but Hugo Bueno's been started as a player that we like and looked at before. So it might be the same again, especially with the knocks to James and Nonto. And then this is where he went into criticizing the player, and he says, look, we know his challenges with his decision making. That's something I bemoan him for when I watch him, being a bit clearer. This is something you can work on. It's not like I press a button and he's a completely different player. It's more like to bring him into training, into positions where he has to make decisions. In the end, he has to deliver or a different player will get the chance. Because he is so on it, he perhaps loses a bit of calmness. And we see that. You know what I mean? Maybe his brains... Lockie spoke on it on Wednesday and yesterday. How he's like going, a mile an hour. What does he do? When does he release? Who does it? You know what I mean? And then he ends up making the wrong decision. And that's what comes in training, is what the manager is saying. And if he doesn't, then a different player will get the chance. It's also not helpful if everyone is on his back and always criticizing. As long as a player works hard and does his tactical job, I'm happy. He will do his tactical job. This is what I always said about Jack Harrison. He will always do what is required and what is asked of him. But the manager did say, but he also has to improve his offensive outcome. If he doesn't, he'll lose his place in the side. I dare say Brendan wouldn't even get if James were fit, because we know James can do that as well. Farker on the final ball, he said we created more chances than Everton, more than Newcastle. Again, we did, but still nothing gilt-edged. And this is where I come back to that conversation that I've been having about Leeds are not great to watch. Yeah, we didn't create much, but we created more than them, but it was still a shit game. We need to get in positions to score at Fulham. Maybe the second to last pass is missing, but sometimes the final pass or the clinical finish. We're working on it. But if the touch is too heavy or the pass is too hard, it's sometimes to do with the natural quality of the player. Not the most blessed team in the league for this, the final pass, but also the execution of the strike, the decision-making in the box. We know that, right? And the facts are, in the Premier League, you don't get many opportunities like you did in the Championship. You can be afforded maybe overrunning it because you'll get another go at it in a second. You can be afforded playing a shit ball, which Jack Harrison did, but he'll get another crack of the whip. We don't get that in the Premier League. Them's the facts. We do not. Farker on goals from elsewhere because it was put to him about Stack and stuff, and he says, yeah, we need goals and assists from midfield. Could also have Brendan or Joel in a slightly different position. Number 10. Focused on this in recruitment. We know Sean Longstaff can score. He almost scored at the weekend. Tanaka is capable of doing it. Also, it's important for Pascal, Rodon, and Biol to chip in. Fullbacks like Jadon Bogle are also invited to chip in. We need goals from everywhere, right? Goals, goals, goals. We know the problem. He was asked about long throws. Football, everything out of fashion comes back 20 or 30 years later. It's like clobber. It's like clothes, innit? That's what happens. In my generation, we had no solution to create a chance. We moved centre-backs up for a long throw, go for it, and create a bit of chaos. This is like Sunday League, right? But it is going back to that. It's a madness. Then we had possession-based football, the attitude that goals from a throw-in and set piece are not the best. Bielsa doesn't like them. Goals from set pieces, thingy, not his bag. Someone like Thomas Frank, Keith Andrews, they love that, right? Our manager, we've seen this season, we have a long throw specialist now in Ampadu that we didn't see at all last season because they're working on different avenues to go because they know their quality isn't as good. This is good management, right? If we want to win a title, there are games when you need to score from set pieces. We are still a possession side, which is true, which I like, because you can do what Burnley did against Liverpool, have 20% of the ball, have low XG, for what? Or you can do what we did against Fulham, against Newcastle, at least possess the football and get into the areas. But we missed that clinical edge, which the manager's spoken about. But I would rather us do that than what, say, Burnley are doing, which is what, say, a Sean Dyche might do, for example. Nuno would just be similar, maybe less of the ball and more counter-attacking. Then he was asked about his comments post-match about him bemoaning the level of quality in the attack. And he said, I spoke with the lads about this. This, again, is good management. He's saying one thing. It's a call to arms. Listen, put up or shut up. Do some more. I want this from you. He said, whatever you say, you're always criticised. After deadline day, I tried to stay calm and back my players. 95% of comments were on not criticising recruitment. If I then say the players we have lack quality, the other 5% criticise. Plan was always to add more offensive options. I can't then say it was never the plan. We have good players who are back, but they are still challenges they need to improve. It must be possible to say, I like this guy, he works hard, but he has to improve his offensive output. They all know how much I trust them. If not, they wouldn't be in our squad. I backed them to improve from 2 or 3 years ago. I didn't see a problem with what was said. I know a lot of people will make a lot of it. They did last year when he called out Tanaka, but he knew he could do that. When he called out Ramazani, oh, it's this, it's that. No, because now he's calling out Harrison, Aaronson, and James, but nothing, you know what I mean? It's like he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. He was asked about Biol, because obviously Biol's not played as of yet, but that's true. Strauk, right? He said, I'm 100% convinced of Yaka, but it's not like there is a name in the starting lineup just because of his transfer fee. It's about what happens on the training pitch. I like Yaka a lot in pre-season, but he was not available for Everton. The final 1 or 2 pre-season games, you go for the lineup you'd like to play. So Yaka's missed parts of the last 2 friendlies. Really good performance from our centre-backs, nearly 3 clean sheets. I actually think Strauk, who will come in for, is being the better of the 2, in my opinion. Pascal and Joe have outstanding performances, and this is how professional football works. For Yaka, first outing in the Cup was difficult. I thought it was stinking. Perhaps not most convincing game. He's a really good player, mid to long term, very important to us. We will see him, right? We know Strauk's going to get injured at some point. He was then asked just to clarify on Tanaka and Pirro, and he says, for our Tanaka, it was important to have a full training week. Last game, he had just 2 sessions, so it was not a topic in the starting lineup. But once you have a full training session, you can be back in the starting lineup. Same for Joel Pirro, also back in contention, but there is competition. Now, I think he'll start with the same lineup that he did last time, right? That's what he'll do. Now, my thought is now with Pirro, with Tanaka, at least we can see some different shapes. I even think throwing Pirro in the 10, going with a 4-2-3-1 later on in the game. I don't know, maybe that could work. Putting Ampadu alongside, Tanaka, throwing him in there. I'm not sure. We move, don't we? Hello, mate. No right wingers. I'm voting Justin right back, Bogle next right wing. Yeah. It's over if we lose to Wolves, I believe. Nah, definitely not. Not Metra in the 9 for me. I think it will be DCL. He's being pragmatic. Best way for us to be, right? Best way for us to be. Imagine I've been a season ticket holder for 40 years. Amazing work, mate. Amazing work. Well supported. What do you make, Rich, to this time? You've seen it all, mate. You've seen it all. I understand everyone's nervy. Everyone's got their opinions and all that sort of all that thing. And it's always going to be difficult like this. It's always going to be difficult. There's still a long way to go. But yeah, I do think we need a result versus Wolves or it will all get tense. It's already tense. It's been tense after Arsenal. Do you remember people wanted him gone after Arsenal? I know there's someone in a group chat that I'm part of that's fucking saying a load of shit, and I just look online and they just don't say what they're saying online, and it's like, just someone say it with your chest. If you think he should be sacked, say it, 100% it has. Yeah, TSB had a clip and the Fulham fans were saying we're not doing the wrong thing. Be a bit shithousery and difficult to beat. A few have said the same. 100%. At the end of the day, we'd have had three clean sheets. For a newly promoted side, it's amazing. We know where the issues are. We need to score goals, but we move, right? Parliamentary procedure. Love that, mate. It'd be nice to have that, but unfortunately, I don't think we will get it. Yeah, 100%. 100%. So it is what it is. There we go. I think the reason we never brought the PSR. Oh no, stop that. This is crazy. Anyway, listen, I've got a show at 4:00 on Potsy's channel. I'll then be on a Wolves channel, and at 5:30, I'll have an opposition preview where we can speak to Dave from Talking Wolves. I haven't spoke to him in a fair few seasons now, to be fair. So it'll be good to catch up with him and see what the Wolves fans are thinking. Is it must win for them, etc.? We will be there. But thanks as always for tuning in. Listen, Farker, for me, when he talks, I listen. He's saying the right things. And I pray and hope for a positive result at the weekend just to shut a few people up some more. Anyway, peace out. Leeds. Have a good one. See you at 4 on Potsy's channel, 5 on Talking Wolves, 5:30 here, and that'll be a lot. Legends, love for the love.